Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a great morning so far. I wanted to start by letting you know that we're going to be doing a few things a little differently today, but all of it is going to tie together, I think, in a magnificent way that's going to tell a story that needs to be told. And we're joined by a lot more voices this morning. And that's what we want to do. We want to bring voices to the conversation that give us the ability to ask the best questions to get to the bottom of the matter. And so I'm excited this morning. I'm going to be joined by Georgia Fort, and she's going to be bringing us news updates on the latest shooting of a black man in this country. It's too often it's happening too many times, the same thing on a different day. So a little bit different, but I think you're going to enjoy it. Let's do it. Georgia Fort, your timeline is the first that I go to every morning because in this country, we see that police officers are still killing black lives. So give us an update on the police killing of Winston Smith.
You know, Ben, on Thursday afternoon, there was another black man killed by law enforcement in Minneapolis. His name, Winston Smith. He was a father of three. He was a comedian. He was a musician, loved by many. And unfortunately, there was some major inaccuracies in the initial report about his death. I want you guys to take a listen to what his sister had to say in response to that.
Hello, my name is Taisha Floyd, and my brother is Winston Smith, who was shot yesterday by the U.S. Marshals. There has been information that has been fabricated, tarnishing his character. Without the video footage, they have been putting that false information out without solid evidence. We're asking for transparency. We're asking for video footage, just solid evidence. My brother was kind. No, he wasn't perfect. None of us are. He was trying to turn over a new leaf, but they took that away from him. They're using his past to tarnish his character. They're using his past to try to diminish that of what he was trying to do in the present.
And unfortunately, I feel like we hear this all too often. The initial report actually listed Winston Smith as a murder suspect.
Wow.
That is a very, very serious allegation to make. And since that came out and people learned that it was not true, the media outlet that actually put that out there, the only thing that they've done is issued a one-sentence correction at the bottom of the article. And so I want to bring in Jonathan McClellan. He's the president of the Minnesota Justice of Coalition. Jonathan, you've been on the ground, not only following what happened to Winston Smith, but you followed Daunte Wright's case, George Floyd, and so many others. Can you talk about the harm that inaccuracies like this cause for families and also for the cases in pursuing justice?
I think that this is a common tactic that's used by law enforcement. I often speak that there's a blueprint for this when police officers kill our people. They murder. They tell lies, they stall, they attack the reputation of the victim, they cover up, and then they repeat. And that's their blueprint to killing Black people in our communities. And I think that not only does it harm the case, it also and the case from getting justice, it also harms the families and the victims, because after they are fighting to try to understand what happened to their loved one, now they have to fight an uphill battle to try to clear the reputation of their loved one for this this false information or this narrative that's put out there that's often inaccurate. And this is something that's common amongst a lot of the families' cases. When you have these conversations with the families, this is what they do. And I know that in particular in the case of Winston, there's a lot of information that not even some of the highest government officials in our state still don't even know. So the fact that they're putting out this narrative, but they're not putting out body camera footage of what happened, and then they're saying that they don't have body camera footage is very perplexing, not only to the highest offices up in our state, but also to the community. And it does a great disservice.
Absolutely. And could you just briefly give an overview of the bills that you've been working on in terms of police accountability?
Yes. Some of the bills, we have a total of nine bills that we've been pushing forward. And those bills include qualified immunity. Also include removing the statute of limitations on wrongful death, civilian oversight strengthened, police accountability, liability insurance, ending police-only responses to mental health calls, an independent investigatory and prosecutory body, ending a prosecution for reporting police misconduct, access to body camera footage within 48 hours, and ending no-knock warrants. And this was our first slate of bills that we were working on last year during the special session. And these are the bills that we had drafted and had language ready to go. And that's why these bills are the ones that are being pushed forward. We've also been working on another package of bills that we're going to be pushing in next session, given that this year is a budget year.
Ben, and I know you and I have talked a lot about on a national level what has or has not been done in terms of police accountability. Do you think that President Biden has been showing up on this issue in the way that we expected him to? Do you think Kamala has as well?
You know, I think the best way to answer that is what results do they have for Black people as it pertains to police violence? Like, what are the results? Because you got to match the words with the action. If there's no action that matches the words, because the rhetoric is right. One thing that Joe Biden has done right has been to correctly identify the problem of police violence against Black lives. He'll call out white supremacy. He'll do all those things. That's great. But where is the actual legislation? And we have some wavering on whether or not they're going to get rid of qualified immunity. Jim Clyburn was just on MSNBC last week talking about some type of compromise. But at the end of the day, it seems like those compromises always end back in favor of the continued police state.
Yeah. And, you know, I think about Obama when he spoke very openly and candidly about Trayvon Martin and the impact that had on our country, and the way that a lot of people seem to all of a sudden have compassion for this young Black man who otherwise I think they dismissed as being aggressive and being violent and believing the things that were said about him inaccurately. And so I don't know, for me, I really do think that Biden could be a little more vocal about what's happening. I know that he met with the Floyd family, and I think that that's great, but that was something that was kind of behind closed doors. No one was really privy to that conversation. And I just feel like here in Minnesota, we're having police killing after police killing. You have unarmed Black men continuously being killed by law enforcement. This is not a time to be complicit or silent. And so I've been a little disappointed. Jonathan, I think you might share the sentiment. Before you answer, I do want to play a clip of when you spoke about Biden's stance on all of this during a previous press conference.
President Joe Biden, you said you were different than Trump. Show us.
Come on now.
Because we're hurting, people are dying, and we need your help.
Yes.
We are asking President Joe Biden to jump in this fight with both feet. Yes. We're asking Governor Walz to jump in this fight with both feet. Yes. We are asking our elected leaders around the country to jump in this fight with both feet. No more lip service. We want action.
Yes.
What was going through your mind when you made that statement?
We had put together a request to have the patterns and practices investigation started here in the state of Minnesota to investigate all the police departments. And with everything that was going on, the White House was silent on a lot of these issues. And eventually they responded to that request to have the patterns and practices come to Minnesota, but they only threw the stone at Minneapolis, so to speak. And we're trying to get them to expand that to St. Paul as well currently. But I was disappointed that one of the politicians who is the cause of a lot of these issues that are going on today wasn't aggressively pursuing the policy that we needed to address these issues. The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act in Washington. There's no talk about any of the fight. It's like it's stalled out of the House. It passed the House, but it's stalled out, and the Senate isn't doing nothing. And then there's this effort to pull out one of the most strongest pieces of that legislation, and that was the qualified immunity component. But with the president, we asked him to show up here. He hasn't showed up here, and I just think that, you know, for having the past that he did with the 1994 crime bill, that he, in the aftermath of the killing of George Floyd, that this is where he would be, is with the community, showing his support and doing everything in his power to try to redress the harms caused by his actions. And that's what we need, and that's what the community needs. Is they need him to jump in this fight with both feet. And it seems like he's touch and go. I know that he's going to other places all over the world, and except for Minnesota, and that's not right. He should be here. Kamala Harris should be here. They should go to George Floyd Square. They should sort of talk to these families. But there's a lot more families here other than George Floyd. And there's a lot more families than that who weren't filmed. And this is a pandemic within a pandemic that needs to be addressed. He needs to pull all the resources similar to what they did in the response for the pandemic for the murder of Black and brown bodies.
But I want to see if we can expand the conversation a little bit, because I think the two of you are hitting on something, a dilemma that we have in the Black community, which is how many times we've saved this country versus how many times this country has done something for us. Because we just recently, Jonathan, saved this country from Donald Trump. Black people showed up. They went out in a pandemic. You know, they masked up. They did their part and made sure that Joe Biden was elected president. But now there seems to be some timidity in his voice and in his actions more than anything else. What he's saying is cool, but the actual results, tangible results, we're not getting. How many times Black folks going to save this country and not get anything in return?
Right. And therein lies the problem. We have these politicians that come out when it's expedient. I watched at the anniversary of George Floyd, the mayor of Jacob Fry and Melvin Carter came, took some photos, and then they ran across the street. They didn't stay there to hear the message that came out of that. And then you also hear this demand from the GOP to put 400 more police officers on the street. And I had a meeting with the Speaker of the Senate and the governor last week where we talked about that. And I told him that, you know, I don't think that they understand that the police are not responding to these calls because we're in a budget year. And because we're in a budget year, and they're coming with, they want more money. The Speaker of the Senate indicated that, well, there's only 500 officers and it started with 900 officers. And I said, you don't need no more officers. What you need those 500 officers to do their job, because they're not doing their job. What they've come to you with is a handout asking for more dollars And when we sit over here and see this increase in violence, and this is something that we've had conversations with the Department of Justice on, is to sit over here and follow the money, look at these budget years and see if this is the time that these crime spikes happen. Because we're getting reports that police officers are not responding to calls in the community, which is causing these crimes to go up, which is giving the political talking points to the GOP party to sit over and say, we need more cops on the street.
That's it. That's exactly it in Georgia, because we talk about this all the time. We talk about how anytime they call themselves doing something every time they talk about black people, and you see this in the media, it's through the lens of criminal justice. Right. And so it's almost like the best that they can give us, they being this entire system, Democrats and Republicans alike, the best that they're going to give us is something to the police. They're going to give more, fix a problem in the black community, put in more police. You want to fix the relationship with the cops, give the cops more funding. You want to do cops are killing people, give the cops more training, which is the same as give the cops more money. Why is it every time they look at the black community and do anything for the black community, it's through the lens of giving something to police?
Yeah, I think it's devastating. And our communities are over-policed and underfunded. And as a result, you see more crime, you see higher poverty rates, and so eventually, I think we in our community, we are going to have to start to interject ourselves into these positions. And Ben, we talk about the importance of voting. I know that you've covered a lot of the voter suppression issues that are happening in Georgia now, because these parties are seeing that the next generation is not going to stand by and just watch this cycle continue to destroy our community.
That's right. That's right. And so, Jonathan, if I could toss it back to you, because Georgia led us right to it. Right. So when it comes time for giving the money to the black community, they're more than happy to spend billions on police and label that as something that they're doing for the black community. Right. And then when it's time to actually protect our ability to participate in the system, which Democrats need, they're not even showing up in terms of protecting our votes. They're going to give us criminal justice reform, but they won't even, Joe Manchin won't get off his butt and Kirsten Sinema, and then Joe Biden using them as an excuse to protect our votes. They're not giving us what we need to get power. They're giving power what it needs to continue to oppress us. What are your thoughts about that?
I think that Representative John Thompson here in the state of Minnesota has a bill that would appropriate $500 million to invest in our communities, our schools, and kind of start that process to rebuilding our communities. They're creating the environment where our children are left behind and our communities are destroyed. And then they want to come in and be the great white hope when it's an election year and they knock on your door and say, hey, support me. We believe in everything that you believe in except for you. And essentially that's what we consistently have seen. So we encourage individuals to get engaged in the conversation, but also to challenge the elected officials when they come to your door. And if you have to, run against them. And that's what we need to start seeing more of, because ain't no one going to take care of us like we're going to take care of us. That's what we're seeing. So we understand these issues. And if you look at what happened in Brooklyn Center, I mean, that's a clear example. The mayor, Michael Elliott, passed a resolution that implemented a lot of these policy initiatives from a resolution standpoint and set the framework in place for police reform in those communities. And the shocking thing is he did it in only 25 days after the murder of Daunte Wright. Wow. So the fact that and the people who voted for that happened because you have a black mayor, you have black city council members who understand these issues and understand the importance of pushing the policy that the community demands and changing the system. And waiting for the legislatures to do the right thing is a lost bet. So we have to start taking that initiatives locally. And right now, the city of Bloomington is also considering passing some form of resolution to adopt some of these issues, but it shouldn't have to go there. This is something that the state and the Governor Walz should lead on. Our country should lead on, and they're just failing left and right. But They will be out to ask you for your vote.
They will, Georgia. They will be out to ask us for our votes. So, thank you, Georgia.
Absolutely, Jonathan. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. That is On the Clock.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning, everyone. How you doing? I forgot this StreamYard in the automatic mute.
Yeah, you know how it is, man. Good morning and welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth and not care who doesn't like it. I know there's a new variation on that, and I haven't gotten it yet. So shout out to Rebecca, as she's going to join us in a few moments. James, how's it going, man? How was your weekend?
Pretty good, man. Weekend was actually pretty good. You know, Patreon party was off the chain. Happy birthday again to you, brother.
Thank you, man.
Hope you enjoyed it, sir.
Yeah,
Ben was over there in the lab working.
Man, look. It's always when it hits you, you got to work, no matter where you are. That's the thing I like about the clubs that we have in Club COVID, right, where we're partying on Zoom. But if I need to do some work, I could be in the party working, or if I need to go to sleep, I just unplug and roll right into the bed. I think I prefer that as opposed to having to drive 30-40 miles to get back home at 2:00 in the morning. So
yes, absolutely.
It's much more preferred. Good morning to everyone in all the different chat rooms: YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and there's another one, Facebook. Good morning to everyone on Facebook. James, we're doing something new this morning. You saw this morning I had a chance to speak with Georgia Fourth. She came on and gave us the breaking news about another black man killed by police. And another black man killed by police right in the same area that Georgia is covering pretty extensively, Minneapolis. Just a year after the George Floyd murder by Derek Chauvin. Immediately after during the trial, you had the killing of Daunte Wright. And then now after the trial is over, you've had another killing of another black man. And it just seems like we can't catch a break, man.
Right. Yeah. I don't understand this.
Yeah, no, it's bad, and it's bad because it's bad because it's relentless and it just keeps going. And every time it happens, man, you're talking about somebody's child, somebody's father, somebody's brother, somebody. But it's on the political end of things. It's time for the Democratic Party to actually show up and do what they're supposed to do for the black community, and stop with all of this, what they would say, what Donovan Wells would say, stop all this pussyfooting with black lives. Yeah. Right? Go on and do something. Hey, morning, Rebecca. How you doing?
Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning, guys.
Rebecca came through my party for every bit of 5 minutes, but I appreciate it
but I came though
because you were going to the real club.
She showed up.
She was going to the real club. She was like, I
already had an event. Before we had planned. That's why I was saying when we mentioned it, I had an event to go to already, but I still showed up. And hopefully you enjoyed yourself. And I wanted you to have your balloons in your background, but when I got on, you looked very sleepy. You looked like you were already tired. So I was like, okay, well.
Listen, I'm a 41-year-old father. I'm going to be exhausted especially at 1:00 in the morning. Listen, if you see a 41-year-old father out in the streets at 1:00 in the morning, trust me, they're suffering. They don't want to be out there.
Definitely 11:30 when I got on. It was 11:30.
Exactly.
Okay, Rebecca, it was 11:30.
It was 11:30.
But you got to understand, I'm up every morning I was up at 4:00 this morning. So by 11:00, 11:30 at night, that's a wrap. I'm good and done. So, but I do appreciate you coming through. It was good seeing you.
No problem.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's jump into some of these stories that we have. The first one I want to jump into, and David, I don't know to what extent you can go out of order, but I want to get those clips of Joe Manchin ready. because Rebecca, we've been talking about this. This is our second week kind of talking about this theme of bipartisanship and how bipartisanship is basically a tool used to slow down progress. Yeah. And you have people like Joe Manchin, who wrote an op-ed yesterday. And if I could just summarize the op-ed, he basically is saying, not only am I not going to do anything on the filibuster, but Joe Manchin is going to actively vote against H.R. 1, the For the People Act that was passed in the House and is sitting in the Senate trying to get through, trying to become law so that they can protect us from all the different voter suppression bills that are going across the country. We just talked to Cliff Albright last week, what they're doing in Texas, what they did in Florida, what they did in Georgia. Republicans are coming after our ability to vote. And Joe Manchin, his big Democrat self, is sitting back there pretending as though, hey, you know, not only am I not going to let you get past the filibuster, I'm also going to vote against H.R. 1, the very thing. I'm sorry. Joe Manchin is there to help Republicans, period.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what it is. And I don't know if we should be, I don't know how people would look at this and say that this could be something that could be continued in our system. So it's like the same thing that we've been saying for the last year, maybe more than a year. I mean, before we came back with Like It or Not Here, but this should be something that you look at and say, okay, when is this person up for reelection? What can we do, you know, to make sure this person is out? Just like we did with these previous seats that we filled, even here in Georgia. So with Warnock and was it Ossoff? So
both of them.
The same thing that we did when we make sure that we're going to go out and we're going to replace the seats with those two. And the same thing that when we look at Manchin and we look at all these other people, and we really have to say to ourselves, what policies have these people been knocking? How have they been keeping us from moving forward? And what do we need to do to get them out? Not reelect them. So this is when we look at Joe Manchin and the cinemas of our party and look at them for who they are. These are not people who are going to help push us and further us in anything. Like, they should be the ones when things like this were even an issue of Black men being gunned down, they should be the ones pushing forth those issues to the forefront, people's health care, anything to help the people. Yeah, they should be the first ones, but they're worried about something totally different, and they're creating this bipartisanship thing, and they're worried about issues that are not even bipartisan. They're just like, they're more partisan than anything. But they label it as bipartisan. And they say, since I am a Democrat working with Republicans for the Republican ticket and for the Republican help, it makes it we're working together. And that's the most important thing. And that's so dangerous. And that's why we have to keep our eyes open, really remember these people for who they are. And when re-election comes, get them the hell out and put somebody else that was willing to do the work.
I want to read this. I want to read this from Joe Manchin, and then I want to play his clip. This is the op-ed that he wrote in the West Virginia Gazette. And he said, Democrats in Congress have proposed a sweeping election reform bill called the For the People Act. This more than 800-page bill, right? He's already setting up his opposition because he thinks it's too long. This more than 800-page bill has garnered zero Republican support. And then he says, why? Are the very Republican senators who voted to impeach Trump because of actions that led to an attack on our democracy unwilling to support actions to strengthen our democracy? Yes. Yes. Every single Republican, from Liz Cheney, everyone that they're trying to pretend, Rebecca and James, they're trying to pretend as though, you know, these people are good people because they voted against Donald Trump. But those same people will make sure that the colored folks around this country don't get a chance to vote against them because we are a threat to their power. So to answer that question, will the same Republicans who voted to impeach Donald Trump vote against democracy? And the answer is yes. And that's who Joe Manchin is trying to have this bipartisanship with.
And I think in this particular moment while we watch this, and I know we mentioned Donald Trump and how a lot of the people on the right literally support this man to the T. But I don't think that we're looking at it really how dangerous these, like I said, the bipartisanship really is. I think it can actually propel us and, into a place where we're reelecting or giving Donald Trump a space in 2024.
Oh, making room for him to come on back.
And that's why I say that everything that they're doing is very dangerous. How can we partner with people who backed a whole terrorist attack at the Capitol by their own people? How can we back people who don't want to mention that there's racism in America?
Yeah.
How can we back these people who don't believe that everyone deserves healthcare regardless of gender, color, any of that belief? So that's why I have such a huge problem with it. Because even when we're partnering with people, say, like for the people who are watching, for white folks, when we're talking to them and things like that. Yes, if we want to work together, you have to you gotta let me tell you. You was wrong. How you was wrong. How you not gonna move wrong. In my circle. How you're not gonna. How you need to understand what racism actually is. You need to understand why it should be taught in the schools for what it is. If y'all gonna be rocking with us. So the same thing needs to happen when Democrats go over there to go mess with Republicans, not take on their whole ideals and what they're doing, and keep hush mouth about every issue that is important. It's call them out. And tell them, if we're going to work together, this is what you need to do. This is how it's going to work. That's the only way, because that's how Republicans move. That's how Republicans get things done. And that's the only type of bipartisan I want to see is Democrats calling them out and saying the only way you're going to work with us is to be on the right side of things.
Right. So, what results do you get? If you don't get results that are net positive for your constituents, then you're not really there for your constituents. Joe Manchin is not there for us. Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema are Republicans wrapped in Democrats labels. I want to bring into the conversation Mary Angela Perna. She was with us on Friday, and she is the host of Lush Left Media. You can find it on SoundCloud and anywhere else you find podcasts. Mary, how are you this morning?
Hey, Mary.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
Good. We're doing okay. We're trying to balance out all these things that are going on. And I know we're going to have a couple of conversations with you, but I want to transition through Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. And I just want your thoughts on how they are there. And I need people to get this clear, because it's not enough for us to say it one time. We said this on Friday, but I think everyone needs to repeat this every day until Democrats look at Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin like Republicans, because they're getting results for Republicans. Start there for me, Mary.
Well, I'm going to bring some nuance. I interview candidates, so that means that I have to look at like the Cook political report, like a PVI, how a district or even on the federal, state level, how it leans. Kyrsten Sinema, girl, you're in danger, girl. You're in trouble. I don't know what you think is going on, but you're in a purple state, period. Manchin is safer. So he's obviously playing to that Trump beat. Like, look, don't worry about me. I'm still this blue dog Democrat. Don't worry. I will still, make sure that things don't get too extreme. I want bipartisan. He's playing to the Trump overwhelmingly won that state. Not the same for Kyrsten. So I don't know what she's doing. So there's the nuance there. I'll have to be honest, when I saw that op-ed yesterday, I thought I was going to get sick. I don't know how you all felt. I mean, I actually tweeted out and then didn't follow my own advice, like self-care or staying off Twitter. And I didn't follow that. But I was getting sicker. I was feeling really scared because I see what's happening on the ban. I just shorthanded for the ban in populist, nationalist populist right. And that, which is the Stop the Steal movement. Those same players that were doing the Stop the Steal have now moved to these fake audits. And what that's doing is it's undermining the confidence in if a Democrat wins, particularly on the state level. I need people to hear this, please. State level. These GOP controlled state houses that are causing not just being able to do fake pretend audits from literal QAnon backers of the cyber ninjas in Maricopa County. They're trying it in Georgia. I could go on and on. So we have multiple things happening. So as far as Manchin goes, he is a creature of this bipartisan. He's afraid of, he's in a very Trump state. Mm-hmm. A cinema girl, I don't know. You better get better advisors. I don't know what's happening.
But see, here's the thing, and I want to transition. Like Joe Manchin, he uses that. I mean, he is in a Democratic state, in a Republican-esque state, right? Mm-hmm. But it's only like that because there's still enough voters out there that if he was delivering for Black folks, like in that state, that he could get the margin of error that he needs. Or conversely, let me flip that on his head. He might think he's safe, but if the right challenger does come around the bend, then Joe Manchin is no more safe than anyone else, because there are coalitions that are being formed. And I think what we're seeing is really a shifting in those coalitions. And this is how we'll get to Bannon, is because Bannon is actually setting up another coalition that actually plucks a little bit from Democrats, a little bit from the left, and a little bit from nationalism and fascism. They're putting together a new coalition over there. Democrats better wake up, because what are you watching with Bannon as he builds that coalition?
Okay, so, I watch Bannon, so you don't have to. Why do I do that? Because all of Trump's inner circle goes on there. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop. You know how the Drudge Report used to be like it's to me, it's like the Drudge Report. So they all go on there. In fact, it was either Politico or the Daily Beast. I think it might have been Politico. I can fact check that. Or maybe even the Washington Post did a story, which I've been seeing for months. He's bringing on candidates. Now they're getting attention from the Trumpian world. Mm-hmm. And so in order on the Republican side, you have to sort of be the out MAGA, the MAGA. That's the primary. You know how we have primaries on the left? Think of like the AOC wing. They've got this thing over there, like the who can be the most QAnon-y. And that's how we get Marjorie. That's how we get Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes, and here's the number one criteria. I need people to hear this. The number one criteria over in Bannon world, because he's like kind of quizzing clients, I'll put it to them, candidates, is: do you think that the election was stolen? Of course it was. Yes, of course it was. Do you see where
their entry, their price for entry is to confess.
That's
with
the
their
primary.
Mouth and believe in their heart that that the election was stolen from Trump.
Yes, and as long as they say that, then they'll get the seal of approval from Bannon world, which is Trump world. Yeah, and I can't emphasize that enough. And all these things that you're seeing, like Mike Flynn or the Mike Lindell, that he was going to get reinstated, that all comes from the same faction. And they all run in the same circles. Please understand this. So just like how the Tea Party movement, was a very racist movement. Please, everybody, look into the Tea Party, because there's a direct line from the Tea Party to where we are now. And the whole primary, the rhinos, Republican in name only. So kind of like how we know the Justice Democrats. I'm not equating. I'm just trying to give a
just kind of paint a picture. Yeah, there's forces
primary
the right, further to the right.
Exactly. So in other words, like where we want progressive change, good for the people, like real policy. They're about at least Trump. The election was stolen, and they just want, as Bannon always says, a Judeo-Christian Western values. We have to defend that. I can't. I really hope people are paying attention, and I really hope, people in the DCCC, in the DSCC, in all the arms that run, outside groups that run candidates, get smart about who we're running, because this is a real problem. We're going to have extremists like Marjorie. You think Marjorie Taylor Greene is a problem?
You can't tell me it's going to get worse.
She's the beginning of this.
No, Rebecca, they can't get worse than, can they? I don't know.
Can get worse than who?
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I also mean in numbers. I mean in numbers.
Quantity. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, but Mary, even how you broke it down when you were talking about the process to get into this whole Trump thing and what the fee is, and that's basically just saying, do you believe that Donald Trump won the presidency? And if that's it, that's so sad. If we break down the process, there is no real process, but the fact that is possibly the real process is ridiculous to me. You see, this is where I go and say, how can we partner? How can Democrats, how can people who are socialists or progressives or liberals partner with that and say that that's okay? There is no process when they do when they do anything. And the fact that they still are moving off of this whole idea that Donald Trump won presidency and still are pushing forth. They're campaigning for him in the social media space, outside the social media space. They're his voice, they're his talking heads, and people are now throwing around the idea that this man could possibly come back in 2024. This is where it's dangerous that's why it's dangerous for us to partner with these stupids. I mean, it's very important.
Our democracy is in danger. I don't know how much how loud I can be. I'm Italian, so I can scream. I don't know. I need, a bigger platform, maybe. I mean, I don't know what more I can say, but I track these people, and this was their plan all along.
Well, Mary, before, because we're running up on time, I want us to play this clip. Tell us, give us a brief introduction to this clip. What are we getting ready to watch?
Is the Mark Fincham that I sent you? Okay, so Mark Fincham is a conspiracy theorist. He's in the State House in Arizona. So he was a part of that whole crew, the Wrecking Crew, fascist crew going on Steve Bannon's show during certainly in that Stop the Steal kind of movement, that whole period when
the January 6th people.
Yeah, from when Biden won to 1-6. In fact, he was at the 1-6 insurrection party. He was there. So he is absolutely one of the leading people behind this Maricopa County,
Arizona, the push to
ridiculous fraud. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. He's a complete QAnon conspiracy theorist. It would take
he's
millions
on
of hours.
Bannon.
Yeah. He's a regular.
Okay. And let's take a look at the clip real quick. Let's see what's going on in this exchange.
Working class and middle class patriots in Arizona. What now is to become of this, since Ducey is clearly throwing down the gauntlet to the patriot movement out there and saying, hey, look, I need my budget with all the crony capitalism in it, and I don't care about any of the issues you care about. What's going to happen, Fincham?
Well, Steve, I would add to this the idea that we still have, to this day, an ongoing emergency health care declaration that allows him to continue to pull down federal taxpayer dollars and hand that cash out willy-nilly to whatever programs he chooses. This is an absolutely outrageous action. And I might add that
Okay, so what did we just listen to? Why is that clip important?
You just listened to, would you consider Governor Ducey, he's a Republican, would you consider him a normal Republican? Think of COVID. Think of how he handled COVID. Think of all of it.
So what we just listened to is this force that's continuously pulling ridiculous Republicans even further right. So Governor Ducey is not good enough.
They booed Brian Kemp. Faction.
They hate Brian Kemp.
Oh yes, he's like almost enemy number one because he didn't overturn a free and fair election in Georgia.
Wow.
This is why I'm trying to, it's so hard for me to do these in these short clips, but I'm trying to make people realize that even a Kemp is not fascist or whatever, right-wing enough for them. Even someone like Ducey isn't right-wing enough for them. Or, they have issues with any of these Republicans that said, you know what, we're not going to overturn this and just give it to Donald Trump based on conspiracy theories.
Okay, so let me piece this together because there's a message here, right? Brian Kemp got booed over the weekend at a convention
in Georgia,
and so Brian Kemp, who stole the election from Stacey
Abrams, right?
Governor Ducey, who is, as far as I'm concerned, a full-blown Trumpian.
Right. He's not enough. Right.
So neither one of them are enough for this upcoming Republican Party that we're going like. The future of the Republican Party is even more extreme than Brian Kemp, Ducey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, because you have this faction underneath the leadership of Steve Bannon who's just pulling them further and further towards fascism. Now, dovetail it, shouldn't that suggest to you that we should absolutely pass HR 1 as soon as possible?
Well, of course, but we're the 10 Republicans that are even gonna. I mean, you don't even have Manchin.
Not a thing.
Speaking of Manchin, let's David play the clip of Manchin because I don't want to make you Earl.
Republicans, when they're making all these gains in the state houses and achieving their goals in the states, why would they vote for a bill someday in the Senate that's going to take away all the things they're achieving right now in those state houses?
John, they achieved what they've achieved before they went thinking they had to make changes. Why in the world would they want to make changes that basically subvert? Because I can tell you, what goes around comes around. It could be more damaging to them, too. The bottom line is the fundamental purpose of our democracy is the freedom of our elections. If we can't come to agreement on that, God help us, John. And someone's got to fight for this, and we've got to say, listen, the divided country that we're in today, the insurrection that we saw January the 6th, if we don't try to heal that, if we don't make every effort and go beyond the call of duty, then what are we and who are we? We've been known to go around the world and promote democracy and observe other elections. What kind of credibility do you think we have in doing that today? So I want to fight for this, and I think the Republicans will fight for this and understand we must come together on a voting rights bill in a bipartisan way. You can't divide our country further by thinking you've given leeway to one or the other. And if they think they're going to win by subverting and oppressing people from voting, they're going to lose. I'll assure you they will lose.
Let me tell you, Mary, I want to give it to you and then we got to go. Joe Manchin is on the same side as Steve Bannon, period.
Well,
the results, because the results are the same.
He says that he cares about the he was so upset about the insurrection. He cares about democracy. I mean, but you're giving as I said to my husband this morning, you're giving a birthday gift to this fascist faction that's literally taken over the Republican Party.
And that's an important point. But this is why I say, we can't forget what these people have done. This is not like they're getting saved again. They've been washed anew. Like we need to forgive their sins. None of us are. No, we got to play the game like they playing it.
No.
I see you for what you are, who you are, and this is why I'm not going to partner with you. But how Manchin is sitting here on the show with his blue tie to show that he is very Democrat, but he has solidarity with the other side. And I don't care how upset he was about the terrorist attack at the Capitol. I really don't care. That doesn't mean a thing to me, because at the end of the day, what did y'all do about it? Some of y'all stood by idle when that whole situation happened, that being Joe Manchin, that being cinemas, that being all they did was say, oh my God, that's so sad that this happened. And in the background, they were helping sign bills that were going to hurt people, like at the end of the day, so this is why I say it's very important to watch how our leaders move. He can get on air all day and say that he was sad about something that Republicans did, but it's still important. For us to partner with the devil, because it just makes sense.
Can
Mary,
I
get the last? I'm
going to get the last word here. So I listened to a podcast with who was in Schumer's position, Harry Reid. He did a maneuver, and people can look this up, where there was obstruction to get judges to do an up and down. He's been against the filibuster for a while now. So Senator Schumer, I'm watching you. Our democracy is in peril. I'm a Democrat. I'm not leading this party, but I'm gonna tell you something. I'm watching you, Senator Schumer. Now, I'm not saying all the blame is on Senator Schumer, but he is. He's the leader. Like, what are you doing? You are in the position that you wanted to be in for so long, and midterms are going to be here before you know it, you guys.
Mary Angela Perna from Lush Left Media, thanks so much for giving us this update. Expanding the conversation a little bit further, I want to bring on our next guest, Professor Harvey Kaye. He is author of The Four Freedoms and so many other books two of them I have on my bookshelf. Professor Kaye, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great. You only have 2 on your bookshelf?
I only have 2. Listen, Professor Kaye, I want to expand this conversation that we have going, because now we're the conversation specifically about the filibuster.
Yeah.
And this undue deference that Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, in their own pious way, try to give this. They make the filibuster equivalent to democracy. Right. And not in terms of definitions. I'm not saying that they're making a mistake in terms of how they define it, but in terms of importance, in terms of significance. When they do their calculus, they put the filibuster next to the Constitution, and there's nothing in the Constitution. The filibuster is just a Senate rule. Break that down for us.
Right. It's just a Senate rule. I mean, Senate rules are our problem. Okay. Mm-hmm. So for the Senate rule regarding the filibuster, we know it goes all the way back to the idea of enabling a certain set of senators to block serious reform on civil rights and other matters. And alongside of this filibuster is this parliamentarian, okay, which, 20 years ago, the Republicans fired a parliamentarian who they feared would get in their way. Okay, I think Trent Lott was the leader at the time, and now the Democrats have learned. I mean, they've learned too much deference for the past 40 years, and it's like that's their dance. And so where we are now is they're going to look like they're going to be not only deferential in the past, they'll be desperate now if Schumer ever wakes up and actually fires the parliamentarian and you fire the parliamentarian in part because you want to get bills passed, right?
Right.
Of a financial sort that might actually enable Americans to live better lives and come to realize that government is not the enemy. It can actually be a democratic tool as it was intended to be, and basically formulated most effectively by Lincoln in those terms. But but back to the filibuster question. This filibuster question is bizarre. I can only imagine what the historians in the future will say if, in fact, we enter into the nightmarish scenario that I fear we will enter into if all of these state laws are allowed to stand, okay, and are not overridden by a federal law that guarantees people's right to vote and guarantees election integrity and standardizes elections. Sorry, if I sound angry, it's because the last couple of weeks, I know Mary Angela already warmed you up for this kind of talk, but seriously speaking, these last few weeks have been, I said to someone the other day, I think these few weeks have made me feel worse. I'm seriously worse than the morning after the November 2016 election.
Ooh, that's a heavy comparison.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, I was naive enough to imagine that Trump would be a disaster and not necessarily as bad as his years became. I mean, okay. But now
you knew he was going to be bad, but you had no idea how.
Oh God, I knew he'd be absolutely awful, but I guess I wasn't prepared for what was fully going to transpire.
And so now you compare today to the last few weeks, you're saying that's comparable to your pain of the election.
Yeah. So maybe even beyond, because, tax cuts tax cuts were not Trumpian. Tax cuts were specifically Republican. We knew to expect that.
That's important.
Okay? Actually, I'll back off. Let me make it even clearer. Okay. We have seen the march or the advance, or at the least what, they used to talk, the right wing always used to talk about creeping socialism back in the post-war years. What we've seen for the last 45 years is creeping authoritarianism.
Yeah.
And I kid you not on this. I'm not exaggerating. I mean, think about this, about what's transpired since the 1970s. The 70s were not a friendly time for the left in any case, which we don't need to go through if you don't want to right now. But it is the case that since then we saw serious assaults, damaging, devastating assaults on the labor movement and working people. We saw persistent efforts to take back the rights that women had finally come to achieve in the course of the 60s and early 70s. And this brings us especially to this current moment, but they're all connected. We also saw the beginning almost immediately after the passage of the Voting Rights Act, and especially these 45 years now, we have seen this incredible effort, literally, which was then confirmed or affirmed by the Supreme Court not too many years ago, to literally make it very difficult. We say people of color, to make it very difficult, especially for African Americans, but all the more for people of color.
All this is in the last couple of weeks.
and now, look, I mean, so here's why I'm connected. Here's why I said 2016 and now. So what we now see is this state by state assault, which can only be answered if we're ever going to prevail and move forward in making America live up to its promise. Right now, it's like we're just getting smacked around. Not to mention, I mean, think about these last few weeks. We have the Supreme Court prepared to take on the question once again of women's right to choose.
Like we're in the 60s again.
We see whether or not they would all be enacted. We saw the Democrats block it in Texas. We have seen in 47 states bills introduced to make it difficult. Again, and by the way, it's decidedly directed against people of color and African Americans.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, when these things began to happen in Wisconsin, they were also directed against students.
Right.
They
know their enemy. They know who they need to suppress.
That's right.
And they're coming after us on all. So you draw that equivalence. And I think what I'm seeing now, though, Professor, is that the very solution to the very problem is on the table. The very solution to what the Republicans are doing to counteract what the Republicans are doing, we must confront the problem that empowers them to continue doing it and get away with it, which is we got to get rid of the filibuster. It was a racist institution to begin with. It was for racist purposes to begin with. Go ahead, Rebecca. I'm sorry.
No, that's really from all that we've been saying. The point of it is literally cruelty. The point of it is literally the fact that this is this was racist to begin with. It's always been used against us. There has been nothing that the filibuster has helped to assist us in as being for people of color. And this is where my issue lies. And this is why I say us getting rid of it is going to benefit, finally, at least give us an opportunity. And by us, I mean people of color, to have some kind of change. That's what they're fighting for here. They've been literally screaming, like, get rid of the filibuster. And as soon as they said that, everybody started getting shifty and they started trying to protect.
That's the cost, Rebecca. That's the cost. And Professor, I want you to do the sum. I want you to do the equation here for me, because I think if they get rid of the filibuster, then they ain't got no excuse to stop, to not give us what we've been asking for. See, the filibuster right now is used as an excuse to ensure that even those good liberals and those good Democrats don't ever have to actually do something. You get rid of the filibuster, then you got no excuse. You got to do something.
Yeah.
But if they don't get rid of the filibuster, then Democrats are not going to get power ever again. What do the powerful in the Democratic Party do? Because they're that meme. You know, the meme of the guy sweating. Do I get rid of the filibuster and be forced to do something good for the people? Or do I let this filibuster stay and I can keep playing this game, but I'm going to lose power?
Okay. I don't want to get into detail on this sidebar that I'm going to mention. So let's imagine let's imagine somehow the filibuster goes, okay? It's very hard to imagine. It's very hard to imagine, because if for some reason, Manchin and Sinema are confronted with the reality of of what we would imagine the Democratic Party should be, at least one of them, possibly two of them, will bolt to the Republicans.
Oh yeah, you can see that.
In which case, we don't even have the
50,
the 50 with a 51 with Harris's vice presidential vote. Yeah, I've already been. Look, this is one more thing about this filibuster, which shows you that what it means over time, and that is back in the 60s when Johnson, leave aside the war in Vietnam question. Okay, but when Johnson literally aligned with the civil rights movement,
yes,
okay, and he pursued with his powers of persuasion and his ability to twist arms. And I don't know how many people got broken arms in those days. He got the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act passed. Okay. He broke the filibusters. That's critical. But there's one, everyone forgets about a filibuster that he failed to break. And this has also come back to haunt African Americans and working people generally. And that was in 1966, the effort to reform labor law, to bring an end to the worst elements in the Taft-Hartley Act of 1947. This act, which basically made it extremely difficult to organize anew and licensed Southern states to turn into right-to-work states. Okay. And this was, even then, all the way, it was a civil rights issue. It was not a white working class issue. It was a civil rights issue, because both the AFL and the CIO knew if you're going to empower labor, you've got to organize African Americans in the South.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Absolutely.
Now it didn't work. And then in 1978, Jimmy Carter. Okay.
Oh, wait. Maybe that's not Bobby. I don't mean to cut you off, but you're saying that the time that he let that filibuster work was when it screwed working class and black folks together. Yeah. He's like, I can't stop this filibuster. I can't, it's too strong for me.
Well, in fact, consider this. He had promised both George Meany, the head of the AFL-CIO, and Walter Reuther, the progressive figure to his, in what they call the industrial sector of labor. He had promised them, do everything you can to get this whole series of laws passed. And by the way, I mean, they really did go to work for whatever Meany's reputation was. They went to work to get civil rights and voting rights passed. Right. They went to work in terms of the poverty war. They went to work in terms of the Immigration Reform Act. I mean, all of this transpired, right?
But they kept screwing labor.
And then when the number 5, I think it was number 5 on the agenda came up, Johnson failed to break that filibuster. Okay. Yeah. And by the way, Meany remembered the fact that George McGovern was in the Senate and did not vote to cut off the filibuster. So stick with me. I know you don't like it. I know you may not want to talk about Jimmy Carter, but I can tell you, Jimmy Carter was a disaster president.
Oh, Lord. I like Jimmy Carter.
I do this to all of my friends when they say, seriously speaking, think about it.
Gotta say it.
You got to think about it.
But he's a good man now, right? He's doing good. That's
what everyone tells me.
Habitat for Humanity and building houses. Okay. He's like 1,000 years old out there he's trying to make up for all the stuff he did wrong. Harvey, is that what it is?
He is like 1,000.
He's baking in this Georgia sun. But so what did Jimmy Carter do wrong?
Well, first, in 1978, he turned his back on a whole series of major reform questions. Mm-hmm. Okay. Number 1, which included a last gasp effort to reform labor law. He literally it was blatant. He screwed labor. And in fact, Doug Frazier, who was the head of the UAW and was on what was called the DuPont Commission, which was an effort to bring together management and labor to talk about labor and industrial relations questions. Frazier,
somehow we're tying this back to the filibuster question I asked you.
Right. You bet.
All right, we're going.
And Frazier quit because he said Capitol had declared class war on working people and labor. Yeah. And basically he walked out. And Jimmy Carter proceeded in the course of 1978, not only to abandon labor, but he began to deregulate.
Oh, Professor.
He began the deregulation. He paved the way for Ronald Reagan. Now, hold on. I'm not letting Reagan off of historically of any hooks. Yeah. But I can tell you the Democratic deference to capital, the Democratic deference to the power structure goes all the way back to the late 70s and continues all the way through. And I could march you through that now.
So you're saying that's when the coup happened. That's when our country was seized, like literally on behalf of capital.
Jimmy Carter was the first serious neoliberal president.
We hate to have to face that reality, but Professor Joe, okay. I think what you've tied together, and we got it for the sake of time. What we've tied together is you've given us historical examples of how the Democrats will yield to the filibuster, and all those examples when Johnson missed the opportunity to break a filibuster, it happened to be where they were screwing capital, where they were screwing labor. Right. So to balance the equation that you two just set up, Rebecca, you're like, they're using the filibuster to hurt us. And then they're also on the opposite side saying we're not going to stop the filibuster to continue hurting working people. So the answer is question. It's answered. The Democrats would be willing. And here's actually, I don't know if it's answered. I want to answer this very directly. Will the Democrats be willing? The faction of the Democratic Party that has capitulated to capital all along, will they be willing to get rid of the filibuster if that means that they have to do something positive for working people?
That's now the two things come together. We know that the first thing that must make it through Congress is the For the People Act. We know that. But I can tell you the For the People Act, as fundamental as it is, will just literally restore us
to where we were.
What needs to happen next, and this I think scares more Democrats than the For the People Act, the PRO Act.
Yeah, and they're not going to make it
more Democrat. It scares both of them scare Republicans.
Tie it together for me because we're on a crunch.
Okay, so
I know that it's brilliant. Give it to me.
Okay, so basically, it would literally bring an end to the worst versions of the right to work laws. It would enable labor to organize once again. It would literally empower those workers down at Bessemer who lost in that battle to win again, to go back in and win, because all across the country, Amazon workers would be organizing in solidarity with them. I mean, it would be the case. And by the way, this isn't like a socialist revolution. What it would do, once again, would take us back to the mid-1930s regarding labor law. It would empower workers in the workplace. The 1930s New Dealers called it industrial democracy.
Professor, you just did something there that just kind of messed my head up. And please answer this for me. Are you saying that by definition, we could take all the data points that you've given us, and we see the equation, and it says that the best that this party that's in power, and I'm not talking about Republicans or Democrats, I'm talking about this country that serves capital, right?
Right.
That one party system, it is at best going to let us get back to where we were, but it is not going to stop us from moving forward on behalf of these fascists. So Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, and in their own way, the rest of the Democratic Party, they're only going to allow us to get back to a place that we used to be at, but they're not allowing progress. And the way they're allowing that progress to never happen is by letting Republicans steer this ship. If the best we can do is get back to where we were, but Republicans are always, every time they get in power, they're making moves towards the right, then by definition, we're automatically going to the right. And that's the role that the Democratic Party is facilitating.
Keep this in mind. How many Democrats voted against a mere $15 an hour minimum wage?
Kyrsten Sinema, Joe Manchin.
2 senators from Delaware. And everyone tells me that Biden can tell the Delaware senators how to vote. Well, if he could have, they didn't vote for the $15 minimum wage. And the 2 senators, I think, are from New Hampshire. So, look, I think it's absolutely essential right now that we not only ramp up the pressure, we have got to desperately must figure out how to get prominent voices from every single venue, whether it's politics, sports, everywhere, to literally come out and demand that the Democrats live up to the title of that party. Okay.
Absolutely.
And not allow parliamentarians and a filibuster, which is a rule, not a law, to stand in the way of what, by the way, the overwhelming majority of Americans want.
Right. Which is some basic progress
Yeah.
Basic. We're not asking for a lot. It's not a socialist revolution that we're asking for. We're basically just asking if we could survive. Professor Harvey Kaye, it is always a pleasure to speak with you. Can I get you back another time?
Do you ever imagine I'd say no?
Yeah, it's his home. This is his second home. Look how comfortable Professor is here. So thank you so much for coming by. He looks cozy. It's nice and cozy.
It's dark back there because that's our bedroom.
We don't want that. All right, Professor, let me let you get out of here. This is a morning show. Talk to you soon. Rebecca.
It's on the filibuster. That's really all this whole conversation is about. I mean, I hear all of it, and I love that he breaks it down and tells us that this ain't nothing new. This been happening since way back when by your favorites.
They not new to this. They true to this.
Yeah, and they're true to this. So at the end of the day, I really think it's just in the filibuster. No matter how we flip it, no matter how you say you flip it on its head, no matter how we flip it, dip it, take it low, give it Meghan needs, it's still not doing what it needs to do. The filibuster does not work for the people. The people being us, it works for some people, and it does challenge the people to actually do work for us. So when they remove it, so they're like, no, let's keep it here as an invisible cloak, you know, and to just cover who we needed to cover. At the end of the day, we're not going to protect, we're still not going to protect they're not of color or Black folks here in Georgia. They've been saying to end the filibuster so that they can get other things passed. It's the people, they're being laughed at, you know, while they fight for things that matter for people of color here, while they watch Kemp sign our lives away, our uterus away. Like this is what's happening, you know? So at the end of all of this, forget that filibuster. That's like that is literally it. Y'all can fight about it. Y'all can say with positiveness. The thing is racist. It always been, and it does not benefit the people. The people should be everyone. It can't just benefit a certain type of people, and it can't just benefit the people that are leaders only. You know, it needs.
Want to bet?
It just, and it will, but it's not gonna. That's what I said. I mean, we could say I've been hearing about this damn filibuster for evers and evers.
Y'all getting y'all getting all the details. Like Professor Harvey Kaye went back on them.
He gave us a history lesson for real. Like that's the kind that I like. You know, he goes there and he's like, I don't care if this makes you uncomfortable, but this one and this one weren't the best when it came.
I want to try something. Okay, I'm going to pose a question, and I want to see if we could find the answer in our audience. Because we don't know it all. We don't know it all here at this show, but what we do know is we know how to find answers to questions. I think the question that we're going to, and actually this is a poll. We need to take a poll somehow. Do you think that the Democratic Party is going to get rid of the filibuster in order to preserve itself, or in order to preserve capitalism? As it is, we're not even talking about socialism. We're just saying, can we get $15 an hour to live? Right. On the opposite side, their choice is protect capital. What is the Democratic Party going to do? Protect democracy or protect capitalism? Because that's what they're faced with. Leave your answer in the chat room.
Leave your answer in the chat room, and then we'll post it up as well after the show or some point during the show. We can have David put that question in our IG stories, and you guys can answer it there.
Look at that.
So
we can do all that stuff.
Yeah. So definitely, David, if you're watching, if you got a little second, definitely get that question that Ben just asked, because we want to get everybody in on it.
Yeah, actually, you can post it on my Twitter timeline, David. Yeah. Post it on Twitter, pose it, and ask what are they going to do, and we can get. We'll keep the results coming in as we get it. Look at technology. And there's a clip, Rebecca. Do you know that the MLK clip?
Yeah,
David,
about the filibuster.
Yeah,
the vast majority of people in the United States would vote favorably for such a bill. I think the tragedy is that we have a Congress with a Senate that has a minority of misguided senators who will use the filibuster to keep the majority of people from even voting. They won't let the majority of senators vote. And certainly they wouldn't want the majority of people to vote because they know they do not represent the majority of the American people. In fact, they represent in their own states a very small minority.
Wow. I mean, what year was that?
1963.
Is it 1963 or is it 2021?
History repeats itself when it comes to a lot of these issues. But now we have, and you say is it 1963 or is it 2021?
Exactly.
It's 2021. This is why I say it's 2021, because now Black folks have more of a voice. Now we really kind of, and I'm pretty sure back then, because clearly Martin Luther King was walking with folks, pulling up on places where they say they couldn't even go. You know, he's over here talking that talk, sitting before people that he wasn't even supposed to be sitting next to, so it was a nice situation then. But I think now we got more of Black folks got a lot of power right now that we didn't have before. And I say this because it's the same thing that Nomiki said, where she said Democrats have a lot of power, but sometimes we get really dumb and we kind of allow the right and things like that to move and come in and bipartisan and this and that. And when I see Black folks, we got a lot of power right now. So we should deny things like diversity and inclusion when it's not including us, when it's just, having one person. So right now, when I say, okay, yes, we have it historically, these things have been happening, but right now we got a lot of power. We got a lot of movement, more so than we've ever had. And we need to definitely make sure we protect us and move in a way where we say, F the filibuster, we don't want it. And like the professor just said, everybody who says they are for the people, and especially if you're a celebrity, and use your platform in that way and discuss things like the filibuster so that it can be removed or people can understand what it is. Because a lot of people didn't know what it was. A lot of people don't even know how it affects us. A lot of people don't even know the racist beginnings of the filibuster. Right. And this is why it is very important for everybody to understand what it is, to know what it is, how it's going to help us if it's removed, and how it's going to challenge Democrats and Republicans to do work that they don't want to do.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. And it's
a good place for Bubba to play some music. Bubba, show them people what they was missing. Come on.
Right. Good morning, y'all. And it's a whole lot of them, so y'all bear with me. All right, y'all. New patrons. We have Varian W, Joseph G, the brother Chuck Diesel, Mark S increased their pledge. Shout out Mark S. Melanie G increased her pledge. Shout out Melanie. New Twitch subscribers. We have Donnie Cakes who subscribed with Prime. Dread 2D Max resubscribe for 1 month. Andy for Ohio. Hey Andy. Resubscribe for 1 month and commented hells yes 7 months. We love you for that, Andy. 00111111111 and another one gifted 1 subscription. Jam Tomb 63958 gifted 1 subscription to Major Door, and Zen Cyclist cheered 500 bits, y'all. We appreciate y'all. You too can join patreon.com. You too can join patreon.com, y'all. Patreon.com/likeItOrNot. Patreon.com/likeItOrNot. Get exclusive content to everything that's going down, y'all. Exclusive patron parties, all of that good stuff, man. You know you want to. Go ahead and make it happen, y'all. It's Like It or Not. All right, y'all. Welcome back. Ben and Rebecca.
I love that song. I hate that it had that hard. There we go. Just a little bit. I know it's tough to fade in and fade out, but that was giving me a nice little. I think we might have relaxation.
Donald Trump got banned for 2 years off Facebook, y'all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It
The decision holds. It stands. I'm surprised. Donald Trump made so much money for them, right? And so much money for everybody on TV, and Twitter made the most money off of him. Probably. I'm surprised Facebook decided to eat that cost.
They are the same people. Let me tell you something. You think just because that they decided to ban him from Facebook for 2 years, people ain't gonna be doing his work? People are gonna be doing his work. We got people who don't even get paid by Donald Trump and still do his work. They have a whole Facebook page dedicated. Just because he's banned off Facebook does not mean that the people will not be posting him and acting like he's still the president or things like that. We've seen that on Twitter. We've seen people using, Twitter.
Oh, so you're saying his message can get out?
But his message can still get out, but he still has his clan that continues to push his stuff. Donald Trump doesn't really, I don't think it matters to him. I think at first it did, but then when he realizes that he still has this cult of people who have these pages, who do things like go shoot up places in his name, who do things like go and create these pages and still be like, Donald Trump is it. They still go by that phrase, MAGA, all of that. Mm-hmm. It's still going to be like Trump City. Like I can drive 15 minutes from my home and still it's literally Trump lane. And these people, those are the ones that be on Facebook. You know them. They love them some Facebook. Okay. So even if Facebook has banned them, it's really, to me, not that much of it's not that, like, Twitter made their money. Twitter made so much damn money off of it because Twitter already made so much money, enough money, God knows how much money off of having him on. And they banned him after he, lost. So to me,
after they got all their money from
after they got their money. And I think the same thing with Facebook, but if they're saying, oh, we're going to ban him, so we're muting his voice, you're not muting his voice. There's a cult of people who will speak on his behalf and will be his talking head, who have been doing that. So that's essentially what I'm saying. It's great after the fact that after the fact, Facebook could have been banned the president. Yeah. Right. They could have been done that. It's your prerogative. Right. But
so this is a clip. And David, do what you can as far as switchboard. We'll keep it going, but we're still recording on our end, and I want to make sure we get this out to all the podcast listeners. We have a clip of a Facebook official who is discussing why they did the ban, and they were concerned about violence and all this kind of stuff. But when you think about it in context of what you just said, Rebecca, they should have done this a long time ago. Let's take a listen to that clip.
You've got very clear rules. They're called community standards. Everyone can go online to see them. And one of the brightest of those red lines, as you just implied, is that you cannot... It doesn't matter who you are. You can be the Pope, the Queen of England, the President of the United States. You cannot use our services, and I hope most people would think this is reasonable, to aid, abet, foment, or praise acts of violence. And that I hope most people would agree is something that we just don't want on social media. Look, the vast majority of content on Facebook is innocent content. It's barbecues, bar mitzvahs, babies. Only about 6% of total content actually is related to politics. So the vast majority of reasons that people come on to Facebook is for good, positive, playful reasons, their kids, their families, their friends, or to run a local business and reach local customers and so on. And so I think it's right that we should be expected to take action where people, in hopefully on the whole rare cases, use our apps and services in a way which could lead to real-world imminent harm.
Real-world imminent harm. Folks, 400,000 people were dead by the time Donald Trump got out of office. Wasn't that enough? Apparently not. Because now, what did they do? As soon as Donald Trump stopped making the money, right? As soon as, because, he still made the money, but by the election, Facebook had made all their money. MSNBC had got all their money. All these people who made all this money off of Donald Trump, y'all got paid. But at the end of the day, there was a real tangible material cost. And we're talking about 400,000 people by the time Donald Trump left office. So So what good is all this now? And especially when you're saying, Rebecca, his message getting out anyway.
It's going to continuously come out anyway. Like I don't, as I'm just getting darker and darker because my lighting is coming off. But no, I just okay. They banned him. Okay. Like that's how I feel about it. Like, okay, they banned Donald Trump, but that man is still gonna be out here. He's one of the most. He's one of the most soldierous soldiers. You know
that man mean his. That man. James, you ever met somebody as committed as Donald Trump? That man committed to his life.
With two people and say that it was 1 million folks, and the people that were not there who support him, which is millions of people, will be like, yes, it was 1 million people out there. Because Donald Trump said it, even though we didn't see it, we support that man. And you know what we're going to do because Facebook banned Donald Trump? We're either going to drop Facebook or we're going to hijack Facebook and we're going to take over and we're going to be posting our American flags, our MAGA everywhere. We're going to be posting in our pickup trucks outside with our guns. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing.
Oh, don't say pickup truck. You cannot say pickup truck.
They're gonna create a Facebook group, a hate group on Facebook against Facebook.
Yeah, you know that's what they're gonna do. Happen.
Trump supporters against Facebook. Come and sign up for the Facebook group.
On Facebook.
And then Facebook dumbass gonna run a promotion of it because like this group that hates us might you might want to join this group. It's that algorithm, man. The algorithm make you do some hell of a things.
It really does. It really does. And but that's I love that point, Bubba. These people are gonna get on Facebook, create a hate group on Facebook about Facebook in the name of Donald Trump. Because they all dumb. That's so stupid.
Who's dumb though? Who we're gonna get on his face. Hey, can you imagine one of these Trump supporters?
How do I get on here and do that thing? They said get on Facebook and start they said that if we get on Facebook and we tell them that we don't want them to ban Donald Trump, but Bubba, how do I run it? How do I do
technology?
You know I'm a moderator, Rebecca, so I can let you in. I'm gonna send you a group invite. I sent like 5,000. Can I be an admin too?
I heard that I could be an admin. How can I be an admin?
I got you, Rebecca. You're my lovely lady. Of course you're gonna be a moderator.
All right now, Bubba. Settle down now. It is a morning show.
So Rebecca, how y'all gonna use Facebook to fight Facebook? How you gonna roll up on their turf and say we're gonna take over your turf with your turf? How does that work?
It's easy. We're colonizers. It's in our blood. That's how we do it. We colonize on your own land about something that you created, and we take it over. And then what we say, we fight you for it. It's ours, right?
Why not use their own weapon against them?
That's all.
Use Facebook against Facebook.
I love it. And that's why he's teaching me how to sign on. And I'm excited about it because this is going to be what they said. This is going to make America great again. It's going to be a MAGA mental moment, and I'm all for it. I said something there. I said MAGA mental. That's a tag right there, right, Bubba?
MAGA mental.
Somebody get that. Somebody would get that website. You got to donate it to us, though. Get the website, send it to us. Man,
my friend Candace Owens is also going to be a moderator of the book. I love that Candace Owens. Exactly. She's going to get the colored people. I mean, the black people in the group for us.
And then I feel like if I meet her, maybe I can like put my hand on her hair or something. I always want to touch her hair.
I really if you want to touch it, it might cut your hand, but it might want to put some grease in there first.
Hair now. They have greasy hair. I know.
I want to introduce you all to the colonizers, Bubba and Rebecca. That's the name of this segment, colonizers.
And two for colonizers. 1, 2 in front.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh no, I got it. It's even better. You got the Babeka colonizers, and then you got the British colonizers, because you two do a pretty good British accent too. I mean, if we're going to talk about colonizing, we're going to talk about the real colonizers.
And speaking of colonizers, though, this is a very interesting thing that happened over the weekend. Meghan Markle. And we're talking about British colonizers. Meghan Markle had her child with her husband, Prince. Which prince is he?
William, right?
The redhead, Harry.
Yeah.
Harry, okay.
Yeah, okay. Prince Harry. They had their baby, and they named the baby.
Oh Lord, what they named the baby?
They named that baby Lil Bet. So. I kid you not, they named the baby Lil Bit, and everybody said,
Lil Bit?
Lil Bit, Lily Bet, Lil Bit.
Spell it for me, please.
Lilibet, Lilibet. So, and here's the thing about that though. The baby's name is Lil Bet Diana, and they named it after Harry's mother.
Yeah,
and which is great. I love the Diana part. I don't know why the Diana part seems more black to me, even when we know that Diana wasn't black, but we make everything black, right? So I just feel like a little bit social media went crazy about it. They said when the Queen Elizabeth is going to hold that baby and say, well, how black is the baby? Just a little bit. I said, oh God.
Well, you got to say it in the British accent.
Just a little bit.
No, Bubba.
Baby little bit.
Wait. We got to mix and match. We got to mix and match. Bubba, you got to ask the Queen. Queen Elizabeth, how black is the baby? Bubba, ask.
Queen Elizabeth, so happy for you and your family. You're welcoming your new addition to the family.
Thank you.
We want to know, the baby's name is just absolutely wonderful. But there's another question that everyone has been dying to know. How black is the baby?
Just a little bit. And this is why we really wanted a female to take over. I know the other baby, Archie, whoever that baby is. We don't really know what the baby looks like. But little bit. They allowed us look, and Little Bit is not even in her arms. They got because Meghan won't let her hold the damn baby. So now they done got a mock baby.
Wait.
Can we see the look? Can we see the baby? Well,
yes, Queen. Can we see the baby? It's the baby awoke.
Well, truthfully, we no more questions.
Well, thank you, Queen.
I really hope that this baby got at least a little kink in the kitchen, to make the kingdom.
Yeah, you need that strength. Like, why?
You need something about you. They need to shake it up, because even Drake's baby, Adonis, came out really white. Like, pure white. But Drake was like, we're going to braid his hair, because at the end of the day, he's 25% black. And I'm going to make sure that baby is black. And that's just how that was. But no, I think there was a lot of controversy. Yeah, there was a lot of controversy surrounding this baby's birth. And, because of all that happened with Meghan Markle, another woman who stepped out of the media and made the decision to step away from royalty life because of her mental health and because of racism. And I think that was a very important thing to note. And I'm happy because we don't know what could have happened during this pregnancy and when she had this baby and how she would have felt. So I leave
that baby alone.
Yeah, leave the baby alone. Leave her alone. Leave Meghan Markle alone, leave Naomi Osaka alone, leave everybody who steps away from things that are, y'all
can roast her ass.
Yeah, no, the queen, she's open, this open season. Okay, this is open season, sweetie. The queen.
Open season.
I know a lot of people are afraid to
I want Rebecca to meet the queen.
We're gonna really love the queen. The queen ain't gonna like us. She ain't gonna like us, but we're gonna think in our minds how a lot of the people who live in these areas where they think that the upper white folks like them, and they don't. They really don't. Like you're poor, you're piss poor. You ride a pickup truck. You live in a trailer. It means nothing to the queen. You are nothing but a mere street person to the queen. So
even international. So internationally, They doing the same thing over there they doing to poor folks over here.
For sure. And congratulations to Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. And I hope that, like I said, the baby got a little bit of kink in the kitchen. And it's a girl, and her name is Lily Beth. They're gonna call her Lily. They gonna call her
Lily. No, so Lil Beth. So they say
Lily Beth.
Lil Beth is a derivative of Elizabeth. Yes. Right? So it comes from. So I'm thinking if they say
there's no you put an H at the end, Ben. Here you go with that.
Listen. When I call my daughter, that
you colonial
name Elizabeth. You know, I say the Beth.
That girl's name is Elizabeth, but Ben be like Elizabeth. I'm like, okay, we're speaking in Old English. Give us the King James version.
Elizabeth.
The King James English version.
Elizabeth. I can do the King James. King James, the Bible.
And you know, like Elizabeth.
Write the Bible in a way that benefits my power. Elizabeth.
That's exactly what Ben be doing. I'm like, it's all
right. Make sure everyone knows that Jesus was white.
Yeah, exactly.
King James. That's gonna be my character. I'm the King James version.
Had a kink in the bag. I mean, dang, they just be.
Listen, I just don't understand like why people. You know, growing up. Man, these images, we got another story, but I want to say these images of these European images, they get in your head and they got you thinking that you got to have your hair straight, right? And if something happened, it's amazing to me that people aspire to weaken that hair. You know what I mean? You're talking about the kink. That's the strength.
You talking about permit mentally? Is it permit mentally? Or
this is my Hotep hour right here.
Yeah, because I'm like, are you saying mentally? They aspire to weaken that hair? Are you saying weaken
that hair?
Because I'm like, because I did, I love me a creamy crack every now and then, but and I also love.
I did too. I used to love it when the sister's hair was blowing in the wind.
And even if you can keep your hair, because I am not a natural Nazi. If you can keep your hair and it's your real hair very nice and straight and healthy with the perm, do that. If you can keep your hair nice and conditioned and it's not, your arms don't hurt combing your natural hair out all the time, do that. Do what works for you. If you want to wear a weave, do that. If you want to wear a clip-in, do that. That's how I feel about it, because at the end of the day, I am not my hair. Word to Indiari.
Come on now. Come on now.
And you are not a natural Nazi.
I'm not. Don't touch my hair. But also, while I say all of that, I still hope that little Bet got a kink in the bag.
They know.
Let's go to the Tucker. Let's go to the Tucker video. Let's play this and get our reaction to it.
Found out what they're going to be forcing on your daughter.
Well, I know that in kindergarten, they don't call the kids boys and girls, which I don't know why that is. They also don't use gender terminology in the classroom. I know that when they teach the children about Thanksgiving, they ask them what could have been done differently on Thanksgiving, which strikes me as a way to shame children for their American heritage.
Well, of course it is.
Now,
of course it is. It's a way to make them hate the country.
It's, for me, you know what it is for me? It's what it says at the bottom. It says her name. I think her name was Nicole or something. Yeah. And then it says concerned parent.
Anti-white training in daughter's kindergarten class.
Nicole Solis, concerned parent. She has that I've been in the house too long hair. Like, and I don't have no job. My husband takes care of everything. And I might be wrong, but that's what she's giving right now. And they gave her a moment to say something. And she's inside of their den for because they live in a big home or whatever. And she's mad about this, that they didn't say girls and boys. Like, I don't know. First of all, they probably call them kids, or by their names, or
talking about the gender part where she's like, oh, they're not calling them. Okay, so what? Big deal.
Okay, so if that's a problem, get your kid at that school, move them to that school. Like, do what works for you. This is what my thing is. Do what works for you. Don't come on television and make it such an issue that it's not. They didn't hurt your kid. They didn't harm your kid, and your kid is still in that damn school. But it's the the damn concerned parent for me. Is that a thing? Is that a job title?
Oh my
concerned parent.
What I'm laughing at, I'm sorry, is that Savage Sweetheart say she got a strong jaw. This jaw was strong. If y'all look at her face, like,
why white supremacist? No, I don't know if she's a white supremacist, but something tells me she falls into that sway. So why do they all got the same features? She got like the square
there's
jaw.
Different types. So there's different types of the white women, like in that. She is still one of the ones that call for the manager, but she got two kids next to her. Right, she got two kids next to her right there, and she makes a whole scene. She's that one, and she's the one. You don't see how they brush that hair to the back and leave that piece on the
yes,
side.
Rebecca.
I mean, I do it with my weave too, but I'm just saying, like that is like the utmost. That's the hairstyle. Mine curl up on the side, but they leave that thing like long and nice on the side. They get their hairs blown out. She probably got a little Italian in her, but doesn't want to really like. She only uses that when it needs be. Like, you know, she don't. She has to right now on air. She ain't gonna. Her name is Solas, and her last name is Solas. So I would Solas or whatever it is. But my thing is Tucker Carlson brings anybody. Fox brings anybody on the show.
Yes, Fox.
It's like us who, worked local news at one point. And what we used to do was hurry up. And if we needed a shot, if we needed something quick, we will find anybody. Like, best friend, you available? Pull up and act like you was walking across the street. We got to talk about this damn chicken across the street. Come in and walk out with this chicken plate and give me something. So that's exactly what they're giving. But you have a network where you actually can get people who are experts on something, at least something from the school. Let's talk to the school. Why are you guys not calling the kids, girls and boys, and let them have this conversation, and it'll be a true conversation. I get the concerned parent thing, but they brought it on like it was such an expertise conversation.
Right.
That's what killed me. At least they could have gave her job position or what she does, and she happens to be a concerned parent, but they didn't give a damn. They didn't give a damn about that.
She's a white woman.
Yeah.
She don't need no other qualifications, man. She's a white woman. Here is Lily White. I don't know what her name was, but her first name's Lily, last name White. Lily White.
I remember because I was trying to see. Is that
and here she is now being put in front of, I mean, hell, we could pull somebody out of the audience and bring them up on the screen, and it would be the same thing as what Tucker Carlson did.
Yeah.
Except I bet ours would be a whole lot. I believe I could randomly pick up any person in our audience, and they're going to be far more informed than Lily was on that clip we just watched.
He does not want to call her Nicole.
Lily White.
Who was Lily White?
That's like, the names, the pseudonyms.
Oh, because I'm like, so now we talking about Lilibet again? Because, I was like, don't
Lil White. I mean,
Lily, because that's what they're going to call her too. Lily. See, right there.
I mean,
we're going to call her Lily.
Because there can only be so many Karens. We need a substitute. So we got Karen and we got Lily. Lily White.
Somebody just said something about Sally, soccer mom Sally.
Soccer mom Sally.
She gives soccer mom. She's the one with the two kids. Yeah. She's the one that runs over the curves. Like,
I know, but she got that.
She got the whole van.
She got too much money. Like she's a well-to-do. Look at the background. The background.
Yeah. Look at us judging folks, but that's how we got to do it because they do us like that too. So as we pick her apart,
she got a little money.
Y'all know that's not her stuff. That's her husband's shit back there.
That's her husband's.
Her husband's stuff.
Oh, okay. So
she's Susie Homemaker.
Yeah,
her husband. She's Susie Homemaker. She's homemaker. She stay at home with the kids all day.
Homemaker.
She's in the group chat. She's in the Soccer Mom group chat right now saying, "Oh my God, are you guys watching to see if we are on?" Right now. There we go. There we go right there. Did you see me? Did you see what I said?
It was on Tucker Carlson.
Oh my God. So now I'm going to start
Tucker Carlson is such a nice guy.
I'm on Instagram now, and I'm getting so much love from the Trumpians. MAGA for life. That's exactly. And now she's on TikTok. And now she's getting retweeted like nobody's business because she was on Tucker Carlson as a concerned parent. Everybody decided to follow her. They made her a celebrity, and now boom.
What are your qualifications, Lily White? It's gonna be like, that's all she had to do. Rebecca, you just read this lady
I didn't want to, but I needed to. We have like a, yeah.
That's who she is. Yeah.
It's nothingness every time y'all put Tucker Carlson.
With that reinforcement that you talked about, like she got a whole reward structure. She's famous now. She went on there and did, if you do the job of white supremacy, it could give you fame. Yeah. All right, let's take a look at this.
No, you see, Tiger said, y'all laughing now, but she gonna run for office.
Dead ass.
It's right. That's a word. I almost got up and shouted right there because that is true. And that is exactly what happens. Go ahead, Ben, I apologize.
No, they got it. They're famous. She's going to be famous now, and then she's going to come back, and she's going to be famous in her little neighborhood. She's going to play that clip every time they get everybody. So, you want to see the clip of me on Tucker Carlson?
Oh, no, at the front, they have it they have a banner already on the front where she lives, and they pasted that banner. They said, congratulations to Nicole, or no, her name is Lily White. You said good congratulations to Lily. She was just on Tucker Carlson. Tune in and catch it if you can. That's already, you know how they put those banners in the intro of the neighborhood?
The pastor gonna bring it up in the sermon on Sunday.
Yes.
Congratulations to Lily White for being on Tucker Carlson, who's just a fine man. We have our own celebrity in the church.
Yep.
And wait, is it a Southern Baptist church?
It's not a Southern Baptist,
or is it a non-denominational church?
No, it's a non-denominational right here. Oh, I'm about to say where I live, but here down the street where they're like, and we want to just give a quick shout out or a hallelujah.
No, you gotta help set the setting. You gotta sing a song. How they sing this? What kind of songs they sing at that church, Rebecca?
Okay. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. You know what? No,
they're singing. Let me see. Here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. And they smile. They smile when they sing.
I'm sorry. I took it to the Baptist church. I'm sorry, because you're doing it right.
So you want me to take it back to the Baptist church?
No. I messed you up because you singing it like
because they smile like this. I was once on the praise team for those churches, so they're like all together lovely, all together worthy. All together wonderful to me.
And then they go out and vote for Donald Trump.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Our God is an awesome God. He reigns.
That's how they sing it.
Our God is an awesome God. He reigns.
They sing,
He reigns.
From heaven above with praise.
So when they get done with all,
they be having dramatic pauses in the music. From heaven above.
Y'all are hilarious, man. What is wrong with y'all two?
Power and love of God is enough.
I'm steady trying to pull this together.
Yeah. Shout out to God, though. He is awesome. But anywho, they really that.
Man. So what do they sing like? But this lady that we talk about, right?
Now we just picked apart for no reason.
Yeah. They have her. She got a banner at her house because she's a star on her neighborhood. She's a star on Instagram now. She had her moment on Tucker Carlson, and then they got the shout out at church. The pastor, they sang, and I mean, they got the Holy Ghost. Remember that? Where's that clip of the man who was kicking the preacher who was kicking over COVID? Remember that? That preacher was kicking over COVID.
We remember when I'm about to say Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi. We remember when old girl was calling down African angels, right? We remember
Paula White supremacist.
Paula White. I said Nancy Pelosi. But then we remember when they were literally out here just saying that women should be dressing more like Donald Trump's wife, Melania. So, these are those churches.
You called her Melania.
These are those churches. So.
Rebecca said we don't want to dress like no ammonia. Mimosa.
What's her name? Ammonia?
Mamika. Girl, listen.
Lindo.
That's my sister's name.
Oh man!
No, the ghost churches will literally add into their program. So they're gonna add that the fact that she was on Tucker Carlson, and like you said, Bubba, they're gonna say Tucker is such a fine guy. Continue to watch him.
Tucker.
Listen,
yeah.
My church that I went to, that I no longer go to that particular location because of what happened. When 2016 happened, I was in church and I was sitting there when he was elected. And they were like, God is going to do what needs to be done, right? And I thought in the sense of, even if Trump won, the message, something is going to happen where the message is going to come out and people are going to see why they need to do better in choosing, right? So something is going to come of this, what we need to do, how things are going to be shaken around, we're going to get stronger. No, they were saying, if Trump is chosen, it's going to be for the betterment of I said, let me go ahead and pack up. Because y'all not going to keep bothering me in here. I'm out, and I was ready to go. Because I said, you will not. And this is why I say, and the church is literally predominantly black.
And with some white overlords.
But the white pastor, okay? The white pastor, right, had the nerve to say that in a room full of us and didn't understand that, A, you have mad Africans in this room right now, and you benefit off of that. And you call your church multicultural because of that. And you're the main pastor and you benefit off of being white. You benefit off of being white. And Donald Trump being president ain't going to affect you the same way it's going to affect us. So have more empathy. Have more compassion for the folks who build your church, for the folks who fill this room up every Sunday, instead of telling us to deal with it. And God, made sure. No, let's change the narrative when we say that. So when I went to the next campus that they opened up, where the black man was the head, there was something playing on because we had to watch something and they had to play it, and it had something to do with politics that he mentioned, and it was coming from the head of the church, the whole thing, which is his white pastor. And the black pastor stopped it and was like, listen, over here, we don't got nothing to do with that. And I understand that's my boss, but let's change the narrative over here. I understand each and every one of you have a certain concern and certain issue, and let's have the conversation.
Yeah.
I said, okay, black pastor.
Did he get fired?
This is what I'm talking about right here. It always got to be the black pastor or the black person in the room or whatever to actually make us comfortable. And it was a mix of white and black folks in the room as well. So we had the conversation. It was uncomfortable. It was tough, but we had the conversation. And that's what I want every leader to be like. Well, but in these rooms, in these places where the soccer mom that just was on Tucker Carlson they're never gonna show that compassion. They're never gonna show the understanding of what others go through in the church. They're always gonna speak from one place, and they don't know how that hurts the other folks in your church. And they're only gonna speak from that one place, and that's gonna be Tucker Carlson is a fine guy. And what you did was the Lord's work when you got up on air and you discussed the gender situation, because that's so much of a bigger deal than us discussing how Black folks in this country are being gunned down.
My God. What a word.
Sorry, because y'all done got me off on a tangent this morning. I didn't, I didn't come to that.
So that's my new job. It's just, we gotta let the people got stuff to say. And it's not just, it's a lot of us. There's a lot of us who have something to say if we could just create space for people to say it. And because you really just diagnosed the entire problem through the entirety of the Black experience, the church experience, how it then overlaps and spills over into the political world. And then now they got a reward system. You even went through the reward system that they have for negative things. They have a reward system that rewards them for bad behavior over there. They're famous. She's famous now because she went on Tucker Carlson and she's getting all the back. So who's going to tell them that they're wrong? How can we convince them that they're wrong when their entire life has been rewarded by this system that destroys us?
Yeah. They're not going to. They told us to look at them and just see them. That's what kills me. They can get on and talk about all their issues, and we have to see them and accept them for where they are and what they're doing. When it's us and we're talking about our issues, they will never. It's all like, you didn't comply. If you would have just stood back and allowed them to do what they needed to do, if you just would have never talked back, you know what I mean? If you would have gotten off of food stamps, maybe they would have took you differently. If you would have wore something different, maybe you would have got more respect. If you would have not gotten that abortion, maybe you would have been blessed differently. These are the things that they talk about. These are the things that they put out there for us. And then this is my problem, right? But when white folks go out there and say nothing, they get praised for it. They get checks for it. They literally get TikToks that never get banned.
Remember that
never get pulled down. So, yeah.
You in my life right now. I was going to jump off there with the white lady who went on Jimmy Fallon for that little raggedy dance routine that she stole from TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh, none.
And she had to, but when she was called out for it, right? When she was called out for it, then she recalled and she was like, well, I reached out to everyone. This is this is the diversity and inclusion conversation. I would love diversity and inclusion if it was diverse with people of color. I don't want no white folks in diversity and inclusion. If it was for me, if it was diverse of people of color to be at the front of the conversation and for the white folks to listen.
Because what they get, diversity and inclusion, just like bipartisanship, is a tool to further whiteness.
And that's it. But I say that to say, literally, there is no everything that is created, the damn filibuster. Look, as I have my hands on my hips like a Haitian, the damn filibuster, the bipartisanship, these 15 minutes of fame for a white person. Yeah. And our leaders, our Democratic leaders, all of them are put in place, and none of this diversity and inclusion, none of this has assisted us in any way, shape, or form. Everything that has been done had to be done by, and I say this because it's not radical, but it had to be done by a radical. Like, we can't get our content on in the main spaces. We can't have the correct narrative, so we had to create this show. Yeah. And then, we can't have our voices heard or any laws passed. So the baddest in the game had to go and fail 10 times before they were able to get the seats that they got now. Shouts out to Cori Bush, shouts out to
Boltman,
Nina Turner, shouts out to Isaiah, shouts out to all of them that are doing the work right now, but who have failed. And we're okay with failing, but right now are taking because it's right now it's hot to be Black. It's hot to have a little fire right now. So they're using that to the best of their ability. But then when they step in their positions and they're making things happen, that's what I like to see. That's what I like to see. And but this is what we need more of. And I want it to be all the time. But unfortunately, it won't be all the time. Right now, us asking for the filibuster to stop is such a
Oh yeah, they equate it to democracy. They literally played. David, go back to that clip from Angus, Senator Angus, and Dingus. I forgot his name. It's in there. So I'm pretty sure it's Angus. And listen to this guy as he struggles with the decision over whether or not he's going to, do away with the filibuster. Take a look.
If the bill had Joe Biden's name on it, we wouldn't even be talking about it, I don't think. I mean, that's sort of where we've gotten. This bill bubbled up. It started with Chuck Schumer and Todd Young, Republican of Indiana, in the Senate gym, and it came up spontaneously, which is the way things are supposed to work, through committees, through regular order, with a lot of amendments. But then on other areas, it's been, as you say, it's been pretty well stalled. I think the infrastructure bill is a good test. Because there's not a lot of policy there. This is just numbers. Right. It's helping the country, and we ought to be able to find a resolution on that. If we can't, that spells trouble.
So we're out of time, but just to get her yes or no, it sounds like you are not in a place where you are ready to get rid of the filibuster yet. Not in general. I'm very reluctant about it, but if it comes down to voting rights and the rights of Americans to go to
go to the polls and select their leaders versus the filibuster, I'll choose democracy.
It sounds good.
He made that up.
It sounds good. If it's between the filibuster and democracy, then I'm going to choose democracy. But how do you make that equation? How do you make that equivalent?
Isn't ending the filibuster us a step closer to democracy?
Repeat it again for the people in the back. Isn't what, Rebecca?
But isn't the filibuster ending the filibuster? Come on, somebody. This is for the person in the back. I said, isn't ending the filibuster
Come on, sister.
a step closer to democracy? See what they want to do.
I ought to bring out my keyboard from this
what
segment.
the Democrats want to do.
You should, Ben. You should.
Well, how they trying to fix their mouth and say that keeping the filibuster is saving the people. Keeping the filibuster is for the people. Keeping the filibuster protects the people. But in all reality, keeping the filibuster does nothing for our people. Can I get an amen?
I said amen.
Amen. Oh, sister, yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna hook up. I'm gonna bring a hole behind Hammond organ. I wasn't going to build a studio around this because I'm like, hey, we can just keep doing this from home. But now I need a place to put a Hammond organ just for that segment. Oh man, they are equating the filibuster to democracy itself. And Rebecca, you set up the actual gambit. The real gambit is the fact that the filibuster is an impediment to democracy. So Angus, you cannot equate democracy to something that's taking away from democracy. The filibuster is destroying America.
Yep.
And you're making it equal to America. Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema, all of you who are wavering on this, we ain't got time to play with these Republicans ain't playing. They playing for keeps if they playing anything. We at the high stakes table and y'all around here trying to learn how to play poker. Man, come on.
Right.
He's really taking some laborious pains to decide whether or not he's going to save democracy.
He felt it all.
All of it. He's like, this could get me canceled if I answer this wrong.
He was like, here they go asking me this.
Who's he worried about? Oh, James, who is he worried about getting canceled by? His Republican friends or democracy, people who need democracy? Obviously, it's a Republican friends. He's nothing us.
He's trying to maintain the bipartisanship.
That's the ship right there.
Okay, ain't it?
Reach across America.
Ain't that the ship, girl?
That's that damn ship that went across America and went to go pick up them.
Reach around America.
What we got to do here? Folks and brought them over here. That's that damn same ship. Okay,
what are we trying to ship?
Who going? You want the Native Americans to reach out their hands to Christopher Columbus? That's what we're talking about.
And then you know they want them Native Americans to reach out to Christopher Columbus and be like, you founded this. You are our
you
founder.
Want black people to reach around the aisle and reach over to join hands with some white supremacists?
It's for sure. They wanted to look at them like, even though your ancestors just maybe like less than 100 years ago, even though your ancestors were the reason why my ancestors couldn't really do anything until they were like 80. I love you.
Would you come to my church? I would invite you to my church.
Come to my church. We can definitely gather together, pray about it, and you know, there's unity in black and white.
Oh,
yeah,
all right, man.
I love it.
These people are something else. Joe Manchin is Steve Bannon, y'all. He is on the same side as Steve Bannon. Kirsten Sinema is on the same side as Steve Bannon. Anybody who's telling us to join hands with Republicans when they've shown themselves to be fascist, they're on the same side as Steve Bannon. Anybody on the left who's talking about let's just reach across the aisle with some Boogaloo boys, they're on the same side as Steve Bannon. It's from top to bottom. We got to get these folks out of the paint. We got to get Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema out the paint. They got to go. They got to go because and anybody else if it's that difficult for you, Senator Angus, to vote for democracy, then maybe you're in the wrong job.
Yeah.
Right.
Because what else are you up there for? If that's not why we came, then why bother? It's just democracy.
Just helping people is sad. Is not helping people is such a pain. and helping people just, I don't know, it's so un-American. Like, and they want to proud to be, I need this in the background. And they want to make sure that America is safe. America needs to save democracy. And that means keeping people without health care. That means that keeping the filibuster going so that we do not give rights to Black folks. This is very American. And I refuse to stand by and allow any person to tell me in the filibuster and the House.
Listen, wait a minute. Before we get this episode over, I need somebody on one of these platforms to get me a copyright-free version of of Proud to Be an American. And anytime we have that segment, I want y'all to play, like literally play David. I want you to play that underneath them.
We done sang this song so many damn times.
No, we might as well do it right.
The moment. That's the feeling. That's what the song gives me.
That's when you get teary-eyed because the troops are down there standing next to the football players and the jets are flying over. The jets are flying over the stadium and
the bluebirds.
The bluebirds, and then they break off. They break off.
It's super American. It's super American.
And your dumb ass is in the stadium tearing up.
Hey, hand on my heart. Hand on my heart for the people that
love this country.
Patriotism for America.
I love that. I love it. I love it so much. I love the red, white, and blue. Every time I come by in my my complex and I see like on the highest level somebody waving out the flag, I used to really, when I was younger, me being Haitian and me being Haitian American, which is great. I thought, okay, the best of both worlds, and I see the flag. I never really represent the flag, but when I seen it, I was like, okay. But the older I got, the more racist that damn flag became. And that's so sad because of the Black Americans who have family ties here, who only know their American history here. And it sucks because the history that American flag shows is just racism. It doesn't include y'all's cultures in America, like y'all background, y'all history. It doesn't include that. When I see that damn flag, it does not mean Ben's America. It doesn't mean Bubba's America at all. And that's what my problem is with that.
Sorry to that, man.
And when they sing "Proud to Be an American," proud to be an American means just proud to be white to me. That's what it means. It doesn't. That's why we have to create some other damn songs for our own selves, So,
you know what song they left us with?
A song full of the we had to go there.
Okay. Oh, now you stirred my spirit. See, they got the false thing over there. That little patriotism that you feel in your spirit when they singing "God Bless America."
Yes.
No, I feel it. Sing
the rising sun of our new day begun. What's the rest of it?
Let us march on.
March on till victory is won.
We
sing a song.
Full of the pain that the dawn.
Sing a song.
Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us.
Facing the rising sun.
Facing
the rising sun
of our new day begun. Let us march on.
Let us march on
till victory.
Hit that note, sis.
Now I felt something in my spirit right there.
I did, bro.
It's
a difference. It's a difference. We have pain. We have happiness. We
only the road we try. Bitter the chastity ride.
You see?
Felt in days when the hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat. Have not our weary feet come to the place for which our father sighed.
Yep.
Ben was about to start preaching. Rebecca, I was about to get up.
I felt that in my shana knot. Hey,
you see? It's different. And it's
why are we so black?
This is what I'm saying. We live in a different America. We literally had to be such a different America. And this is why our music and the way we sing it has more, like, you see, Ben, you felt that when I sing "Proud to Be an American," I feel like they're literally like it's like they're stripping pieces of us away every time.
Yeah.
Every time. It's more about rights being taken away, and they're celebrating that. When we sing those songs, we're singing, dang, I hate that I had to go through so much in my damn life, but I'm going to keep pushing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm. I live here, and they ain't going to take away my rights. I'm going to fight for the next generation of Black. I'm going to fight for the next generation of rights for my Black kids. You know, that's what I hear when we sing those songs. That's American as hell. And that's protecting our culture, our peace, and our rights.
So. Yeah. So we only got 3 minutes here. The moral of the story is we see the games y'all playing, Democrats. You got Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema as the foil, right? They're the opposite end to make you look good. Joe Biden, you can blame you can blame Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema all you want, but at the end of the day, it's all a game. Because if we don't get rid of the filibuster, that's a wrap for democracy. But if you get rid of the filibuster, that means you actually got to deliver for the people. So the real question is, and we did the poll, I don't know if we'll get some real-time polling data and be able to report it to you. But at the end of the day, the question is we're trying to figure out if y'all are going to do right by us.
Period.
Black people, we want to know very specifically, are you going to do right by Black people? Because if not, then we know what time it is. And then the people in general, you guys are playing around with democracy itself. And in order to protect your friends on Wall Street and in order to protect capitalism, you are waging democracy. You're really here's your bet. You placed a bet on the table, Democrats. You're saying you don't believe Republicans will destroy democracy. Republicans are like,
King said, till you do right by me. Yes,
that's exactly right.
And I'm Haitian and I got nails on. So till you do right
by Black folks. This country,
everything you do go fed.
And this is second for being a rattler. Shout out to my
all right. Every time I see it,
I love it when the plan comes together. Oh, James, go ahead and bring up the music, man. We're gonna bring up the music. It's a good place.
I love you guys so much. I hope that you guys enjoy yourself. Bubba's gonna play some music to take us out. And for those who are listening, our listening audience, I apologize for the singing.
No,
we were off key. We'll get it better next time.
Right.
I was off key. I couldn't find the key. I couldn't. It was so make sure you don't have ear plugs in, y'all, but just get it right.
Oh, Rebel Day. I hear it. Hey.
Love y'all.
Love y'all. I mean it.
But that poison's gonna kill you from the inside out. So right now,
we thank y'all so much again, y'all. Damn good show today, y'all. And if you have not joined already, make sure that you do patreon.com/LikeItOrNot. Patreon.com/LikeItOrNot, y'all.
It's my time to ride. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to ride it out. It's my time. It's my time. It's my
also, y'all, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Y'all, Instagram and Facebook at Like It or Not Show. Like It or Not Show on Instagram and Facebook. Y'all. Love y'all. Give y'all the rest of this song. Get this thing started, man. Like It or Not. Love y'all so much.
I know. I'm still fly, let's go. It could all be words, I could be a hater like you. It could all be words. Clothes to make the man, but that poison's gonna kill you. From the inside out, it's time to say it with your chest now, say it with your chest now. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to ride it out. It's my time. It's my time to ride it. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to ride it out. It's my time. It's my time. It's my time to ride. just say yeah. Yeah. If you're on a train,
make sure you're quite welcome. You know I got
to walk, say yeah. Yeah. Everybody going somewhere. Yeah. Young or old, I really don't care. Yeah. Life has never really been fair. Yeah. So put your fist up in the air. Yeah. Say yeah. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out.
All right, y'all. That's gonna do it for the show today. Make sure that y'all tune in tomorrow, man. Another great ass show coming up, y'all. It's Like It or Not. On behalf of Benjamin Dixon, Rebecca Azor, and myself, James Bubba Williams, aka DJ Exclusive, aka DJ XPC. And don't forget our brother David, y'all. Love y'all. We mean it. We will see y'all in the morning.